Moonshine Jesus, you're high in the sky. Moonshine Jesus, baby, alright. Moonshine Jesus, a surprising delight. Moonshine Jesus, won't you shine a light?
Hello and welcome to the Moonshine Jesus Show, where today we are talking about Murderbot. It ought to be a fun episode. We are brought to you today, as always, by progressivechristianity.org, a wonderful place to get all your progressive Christian resource needs. Also, the Christian Left, nationwide ministry and community for progressive Christians and allies to connect, and the Progressive Christian Alliance, a movement denomination that rallies together people around principles of justice, respect, and inclusion. I am joined today, as always, by my good buddy Mark Sandlin. How you doing today, Mark?
Doing well today. I hope you are.
I am doing great. It's great to be back with you, Mark. I'm glad I'm glad for me that you're back from the beach and vacation, but I'm not happy for you. It
Yeah,
sounds
I
like
wouldn't
that
have
would
mind
be a good
staying
place to
another
be.
couple of weeks or so. That would have been fine with me.
Yes, I know not everyone has the beach in their backyard, so
That's true.
I
It is
appreciate it.
nice. It is nice. It's just a little bit further for me to get to it than for you.
Right. It's not literally in my backyard, but it is about
It
10
is pretty
minutes.
close.
It is pretty close. Well, we're going to talk about Murderbot today. Do you have a drink to get us started
I
today, Mark?
do, and it's not. I just went with the murder theme
Mm-hmm.
because it was hard to find a particular. So
Yes.
I'm having a murder in paradise.
Yes.
And that is bourbon, lemon juice, hibiscus simple syrup, and pomegranate juice. So murder in paradise. I figured I got the murder going on as close as I could get. I couldn't do the bot. So
That
what
sounds
direction you go in?
well. That sounds great, Mark. In fact,
Yeah.
it sounds so good
Oh,
that it is the
Here we-
exact
Yes, it
cocktail
is.
that I chose.
I love
Murder
it.
Parody. Oh, well, mine's not quite as dark as yours. We must have
Yeah,
a
I
slightly
kind
different mix.
of I may have poured a little extra bourbon.
Okay, there we go. Cheers to you. Cheers to
Cheers.
Murder
Ooh.
in Paradise. And cheers
That's
to
a good
Murderbot.
drink.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Love
Okay,
it. Love it.
let's take a break.
This is
Come
like
back and talk about Murderbot.
only the second time we've ever done
Second
that
time?
too.
Yeah, that's good, man.
I like it. I like it.
Moonshine Jesus, Moonshine Jesus, Moonshine Jesus, Moonshine Jesus, won't you shine a light?
Welcome back, and you're joining us for our Geek Out segment. We don't take as much time with this segment as our next segment, where we look at the theological and political impacts of it. But we are geeks, and we like to geek out about our shows and movies. So if you're not familiar with Murderbot, it's okay. A lot of people weren't until Apple TV came out with the show. It's based on a book series called the Murderbot Diaries, and it's a sci-fi comedy that follows this, I guess, self-aware security cyborg who secretly disables its sort of obedience module so that it can gain some autonomy. And despite its desire to be left alone by all these people, basically so it can binge watch TV, it ends up anyway, though, spending most of its time trying to conceal its free will while also protecting the team of scientists on a perilous mission, which is part of how he conceals the fact that he has free will. So it is an interesting premise. I'm curious, before we even talk about the show, were you familiar with the books at all?
I knew nothing about them. So
Okay.
this is brand new to me. This was my
Yes.
first introduction. I hadn't heard of it before you said, let's talk about Murderbot. How about you?
Great. Puts us on the same level because I had
Yep.
definitely not even heard of the books at all, although they were, I think, Hugo Award winning books.
Wow.
So might be worth it. It's a thin book.
Mhm.
Probably be a quick read. But so that said, we're on the same page. not literally because we didn't read the book, but
on the same channel, both watching it on
we're
Apple
both tuned
TV.
in. We're both tuned in.
We're ready
the
to
same
binge
way.
watch, just like Murderbot.
Right. Same
Okay,
bat time, same bat channel. So listen, overall, what's your? Do you like the show? Do you not like the show?
I loved it. And I was in pretty quick because it's funny to watch, and I think the best part about it is we get the inner monologue of the robot, and around the time he decided his name was going to be Murderbot. I'm like, okay, this is a little campy too, and that's my sweet spot where it's kind of dealing with issues. It's also a little campy, a little goofy. I was in right away. I liked it. I liked the world building that we were doing. It was fun.
Yeah.
How about you?
And we should say he chooses the name Murderbot not because he's going to go murder. He could, but he is very clearly not going to. In part because he's too lazy to go murder. But he chooses the name. He chooses the name basically because he thinks it sounds badass, and I mean, it sort of does. It's kind of cool.
Murderbot. Yeah.
So I really liked it too. I've been enjoying it. I like the humor. I think it's really weird and awkward that the character we most relate to is the cyborg. Like, and I say cyborg, and he's not really a cyborg. He is a robot, but he's partly built from actual flesh, from that are manufactured. We learned in the last episode, but I really liked it. And I'm with you. I like that internal dialogue. It's very dry. It's very introverted, pissed off that anybody's messing around and causing him to have to do stuff. I absolutely, I love every minute. He reminds me, at least in attitude, of the robot in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Oh yeah, I hadn't made that connection.
Yeah. I just read when I was on vacation. I reread the Hitchhiker's books, and so for me, there was this instant connection between the two of them. I loved it. So, what did you think about the show's visual effects? Did they, feel like a premium Apple TV show? Or did it kind of come off more as like a mid-budget sci-fi or something else? What do you think about that?
We didn't actually get a ton of special effects. It was mostly sitting in this the like habitat area, and so no, we weren't getting a big budget kind of thing. We were mostly getting kind of a set piece. And it was more on the focus of relationships. But so it's, I think, also very different than a lot of the sci-fi shows that we get. And for that reason, we mostly see kind of over the top explosions in space and stuff. And we're not seeing that kind of stuff here, at least not so far.
Yeah, if anything, that's if I have a complaint, it is the graphics. And on several levels. I don't think it's needed. I would have liked to have had it though. The monster that he has to fight off looks a little CGI-y to me. It didn't quite come off. The sets that you're talking about, particularly when they're in ships, we are so used to high performance shows. Anytime we're inside the inner parts of a spaceship, they tend to feel very techy and they don't here. And if anything, they look like upgraded Star Trek, the original series, kind of, which is funny since there is another version of Star Trek, the original series, that has as bad sets as the original series actually did have. But I was like, wow, you're just going to call attention to the fact that y'all just barely up in the game here. That part, I was a little bit kind of, I wish it had been a little better. I'd love for the robot to be more than a person dressed in a jumpsuit. I mean, it doesn't move like a robot. It doesn't have it feels like it's a little too human to have no actual human that's part of it. It's not actually a cyborg. It's a robot that has people flesh on it, basically. So that part I kind of I would have mind seeing it.
I hear that. Yeah, I mean,
Um,
because it was really just about interaction. There wasn't a lot, and maybe that's why maybe it felt nostalgic to me in a weird way, like I was
I think that's
watching
fair.
something that wasn't so highly produced. Maybe that's one
Yeah.
of the things I liked about it.
I think that's a really fair assessment. I hadn't thought of it that way. Um, so Murderbot is basically it's not basically it is it's a security unit. They call it a
Hmm.
sec unit that's hacked its own governing module so it can have autonomy. Like I said when we started this segment, what did you make about out of its sort of journey that it's on towards personhood? At least it feels a little bit like it. Do you think it's trying to become more human, or do you think it's maybe doing something else?
I think he really doesn't care about search for meaning or anything. He really just wants to binge watch his shows, and
Yeah.
despite being in a profession where I'm about searching for meaning, I kind of related to that.
Right.
I
Yeah.
just want to sit here and binge watch shows. I think that will be his arc. Obviously, I'm
Yeah.
not familiar with the books. I did some
Yeah. Me.
cursory reading on some of the plot
Yeah.
points over the course of the books, but I think that he'll kind of develop as a person, but also always be a little bit set apart
Yeah.
from the people. What do you think? What do you think his journey is
I,
going to be
I,
like?
I don't know. I kind of feel like I don't know if it's intentional or unintentional. I think he is on an arc towards,
Mhm.
I'm going to put human, being more human in quotes,
Yeah.
because I think most of what his internal records of what human is based on that really bad take, the rise and fall of Sanctuary Moon, the bad spoof
Of Star Trek.
Star Trek, and
Yeah.
that there's a lot of his base knowledge of, which is basically they took Star Trek and turned it into a soap opera, is what it looks like, and it's really it's whole, and the cast in that's great too, in that little show within a
Yeah,
show.
it is. Yeah, yeah.
I
They
just
have
love that.
Cal Penn's in it, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy, man.
Yeah.
We've got, let's see, um, John Cho is in it. Jack McBrayer from
Yeah. 30 Rock.
30 Rock. I just think there's some great stuff, people in that. But yeah, I think that's where he's basing his understanding of humanity and how humans interact. And so,
You
if
know,
he does have an arc, I'm worried about it.
I don't know. I think if there were like soap opera Star Trek, I think I might watch that. You know,
It might be the only way
I
to get me to watch a soap opera. I'd at least give it a shot.
the Klingons have infiltrated and they've stolen somebody's lover, and I don't know. I think I could. I might watch it. I don't know.
You think you might? Uh,
Yeah, yeah,
I would give it a shot. I'll admit, I would give it a shot. I would. All right. So there's this weird tension,
yeah,
for me at least, in the show. It's a tension between, we've got an AI robot,
yeah.
so designed to be competent,
Hmm.
but it also has this extreme social awkwardness.
Yeah.
One, do you find that believable? And then two, do you find it relatable?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think that certainly when he's hacked his governing unit, then he
Yeah.
can make his own decisions and isn't having to give auto-populated responses. That's a lot, I think, like what a lot of us go through whenever we're outside of situations that maybe we're used to or whatever.
Yeah.
And so yeah, sometimes that's relatable. I mean, I'm an extrovert. I love being around people and stuff. But certainly there are situations where it's like, is it eye contact here awkward? I mean, there's a whole
Yeah.
episode on
That's all.
called like
How
eye
much
contact.
and I like the last episode where he actually says the thing out loud when his brain's all scrambled.
Yeah.
He literally says out loud, "I hate eye contact,"
Yeah.
which is like, hmm.
So
I
I
have
mean,
this. Yeah,
honestly, I'm probably the one often making people feel that way. But but I get it. I get
fair,
it. How
fair.
about you, Mark?
I think it. I think it's a little weird that we have an AI that's socially awkward.
Yeah.
That part, I kept stumbling on it. I'm like, but he's
Yeah.
AI. He can be programmed to be whatever. Um,
Yeah.
but I think in the last episode, they did sort of set us up of showing that the people who assembled these robots don't go for perfection. So maybe in the assembling of this particular one, they allowed some of the social awkwardness to come through that wasn't supposed to be there. I don't know. In terms of relating to it, I completely relate to it. Like it is, I feel in my little world of the things that I do that I am exceptionally competent at them. I feel very comfortable with being a person who talks about this stuff and relates to it and writes about it. But boy, once you put me in a social setting, man, the words go away and I feel awkward and I don't want to make eye contact. So,
and do you ever tell people like eye contact makes me uncomfortable?
I have not, but I'm beginning to think I need to. I was just the show's beginning to convince me maybe people just need to know.
That's right. That's right. Yes, our
Because-
relationship will be stronger.
Yeah, it's if we just when you speak to me, would you stare at my feet, please? I'll feel better. But anyway, I found it hit me odd that I went, oh yeah, no, I kind of get that. I kind of get that. So the show also walks this line between action and sort of, I'm going to call it existential reflection, right?
Yes.
Did the pacing and the tone of going back and forth between them work for you, or did like maybe one of those grab you more, or did you think the balance was right? How did you feel about their handling? Because those are two difficult things to put in the same space.
I liked it, and I'll tell you why. Because whenever I watch any kind of media, I like to be doing something else. And so like I feel bad that if I'm like just sitting there watching something, I'm like, I am wasting productive time that I could be doing something. And so if it is existential reflecting, I feel like I can be doing something else and not paying super close attention. And then whenever there are highlights of action, then I can stop what I'm doing and pay attention. And then go back to what I'm doing. So I realize that that's a very niche way to want to watch.
Indeed.
Shows, but that's what I like. And so if it's all action, I don't feel like I can accomplish anything because I feel like I have to sit there and watch it. And if it's all existential stuff, then it's kind of boring. And so I like a good mix with plenty of reflection with a highlight in every episode. So for me, it worked. How about for you, who maybe wasn't trying to use that time to be productive,
to do other stuff,
to do as many things as possible? Yeah.
I'm okay with a show trying to do it.
Yeah.
In this particular case, I would have liked to have seen them focus more on the existential reflection because I feel like that's the real value here, and that's where the real comedy is in this show. And also, people are gonna hate me. I don't think the action was very good. I remember once the scene where the bot that was all in black and he are fighting at just after he gets re-energized on the table. I just remember watching that and going, this is just like, did y'all decide not to bring in a stunt coordinator? This is not okay. like you should be better at this. And so I kind of would just wish that they'd stick with the stuff that's funny and reflective and that. But that's just me. That's just me.
The action didn't work for you at all.
A few moments, like the very first action where when the monster came out and he had to rescue.
But man, you said that was all CGI.
The CGI wasn't great, but the action part, in terms of how, what's his name, Skarsgård, how he handled that role and did the physical parts, I thought looked good and was believable. But then there's been other fight scenes where it just felt like it was not done well. It felt kind of, it felt like the fights in the original Star Trek. Not
didn't have the same nostalgia effect for you.
No, it definitely did not. Pulled me out of it a little bit.
It gave mid for you.
Absolutely. All right, listen, we could go on and on about this, but we do need to get on to our other segment where we talk about the theology and politics of the show. So we're going to take a quick drink and a quick break, and we'll see you on the other side.
Welcome back to the Moonshine Jesus Show, where we are talking about Murderbot, and we're entering our Theopolitico segment where we get into the real meat and bones of the show. And speaking of which,
Yes.
flesh and bones. I've got several questions here in kind of different categories, and I want to
Go
start
ahead.
off with a philosophical question for you,
All
Mark.
right, let's do that.
Okay, I want to know what makes a person a person. And is it just flesh and bones? What makes
Ah,
us human beings?
I don't know. I mean, it's a complicated question, right? I mean, it is, like you said, very philosophical. It's a question that's been asked for ages,
Yeah.
um, and it gets reimagined and repositioned over and over again. Um, I think one of the things that you know, there is a close relationship between being human and
Mhm.
having humanity,
Mm.
and I think that the question of the ability to have humanity, whether you are humane or not, is a whole different question. Is maybe the key piece of what makes someone human is the ability to be humane and have humanity, whether you choose to or not. Um, but then, there's also animals who, in a lot of ways, are very humane. So it becomes a complicated question. Emotions are part of the answer for me. Uh, and without defining human, what it
Mhm.
is, it's hard. It's difficult because there's people who would argue that you could train a bot to have some humanity about it and a desire
Mm.
towards it. But what is your definition of human? I mean,
Yeah.
that's where we got to start. And I don't even know how to begin to answer the question, what is human? Because in order to understand what makes it human, we needed to define what is human, and that's a tough one, man.
It is tough. It's kind of like sitting in a philosophy class, I remember it's the kind of question where you think you know the answer pretty clearly at first, and the
Yeah.
more you think about it, the less you realize that you really know what makes a person a person. But it seems to me that this is an essential question for us to think about because you've got folks say on the religious right saying that a fetus is a
Yeah.
person, and we've also got people saying that no, certain ethnic groups of people are not people, no matter how much we thought we had overcome that kind of thing. I mean, I see this
Right.
specifically in thinking about the people in Gaza right now, that there's a
Absolutely.
real dehumanization of
Massive.
folks in Gaza. And I also think about it in terms of AI generally, that like as as AI advances, is is there a point in which like human made uh, creations, is that ever human? And I'm
Yeah.
curious about your
I
perspective
mean,
on that. Is
I
there
think
ever
that
a point?
I think part of what the answer here is the concept of and I guess I was beginning to touch on it when I was saying whether or not something chooses to be
Right.
humane.
Hmm.
There is a question of free will that comes involved, I think, in defining whether or not something is human. I mean, there's just there's so many elements of free will, of empathy, of storytelling.
Yeah.
That's something that humans do that most other things don't do.
Yeah.
Um, I think that it's a soup of several things, including those. And so it's something that we create. It's going to be difficult for that to recognize and fully have free will. And so
Yeah.
that might be the defining line that I would go with.
Yeah.
Just as we're kind of playing with this idea right now, it is a fascinating question, but it's one that I think deserves a lot more reflection and thoughtfulness for sure. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's very hard. I do like what Grisela Rodriguez is saying, that humanity equals empathy,
Mm,
and I heard you say that as well, Mark. That I think empathy has
is
got to be a real important piece of that, the ability
Well, and
to.
I think it's important to recognize that it's the ability to empathize because we have folks who choose not to, who are. So it's
Mm,
still comes back to that free will. but in relationship to empathy, I think that he's exactly right, that is a very important element.
Yeah, yeah. I want to ask you now a social question, Mark. So Murderbot is media obsessed, and that's one of the things that I just love about Murderbot. As someone media obsessed myself, we
Absolutely.
also lived in a media obsessed society. What are some of the benefits and pitfalls of our media obsession?
I think the benefits at one of the key benefits that
Mhm.
there's lots of benefits, there's lots of issues as well. For me, one of the key benefits is it does allow us, if we're watching thoughtfully and mindfully, it allows us to observe interactions between people, analyze what's helpful, what's constructive, what's not, what's destructive, and then to begin to place that in our own lives without actually having to go out and hurt someone by making the wrong choice. So there's a bit of informativeness if you're doing it mindfully. That's not to say that all shows are, are showing great relationships, but if you're watching it in a way that you're analyzing whether or not it's good and whether that's healthy or not, I think it can inform us of who we are in society and how we go about interacting with stuff. The problem is it's very easy. One of the things I love about media is the escapism.
Mhm.
It is such a healthy thing to be able to go into a different space and a different world and let all of the stresses of life kind of sit to the side for a little bit. That is such a healthy thing for everyone to do. The problem is it's so healthy and it's so delicious that you can sometimes want to stay in it far too long.
Yeah.
And that will do the opposite of the first thing I talked about. That'll hurt relationships and make it more difficult for you to be in them and to sustain them and have positive, like in real life kind of relationships. So that's my quick kind of two-sided answer to that. I'm really curious to hear what your thoughts are.
So I love media. I love spending time with it, and I think one of the benefits is I think that it is a tool for telling our mythic stories. I think that we have, we as human beings need to tell stories. We need to relate to myth and
Mm,
stories, and we've done that in a variety of ways through oral tradition, through written literature. I think that in large part that's what our religious traditions do is they
sure.
help us make sense of life through mythic story. And so, in some ways, we have kind of this common media that helps give our lives narrative, and
Yeah.
and we can relate to life in that way. I think maybe not quite as much the more media we have because we're not all talking about the same thing.
Right.
Like if we make Murderbot references, not everyone's going to get it in the
I
same
think
way that
very
people
few
would
people
have
get
gotten Friends references 30
right.
years ago. you know, so I think in
Yeah.
some ways that's changing the more media we have, but I think that they help us relate to our lives and through mythic story. I think one of the bad things comes from the way that media is used, and I'm thinking less like shows, and I'm thinking more like the 24-hour news cycle and people
Mm,
making up stories. And Fox News, in particular, I think is very guilty
absolutely.
of this, but not just them. All kinds of media outlets where we're not even doing real journalism anymore. We're just saying lies and propaganda and spreading it out to a mass audience. And I think that is where it becomes very dangerous. That's one of the
Mm,
pitfalls. Okay,
for
I want to
sure.
switch gears again. I want to ask you a political question, Mark.
Uh, we don't
Okay.
do politics here.
No. Damn. Can't do it in church. I can't do it here. I can't do it in my life. I can't question the Trump administration.
Oh,
Where
well,
where am I even supposed to do this?
I don't know.
Well,
Can't help you.
let's break the boundaries. Let's do it
Okay,
anyway.
this is the boundary breakers. I like it.
So the corporation REM is a
Mhm.
corporation that insists that security units, sec units, accompany travelers, even though there is a strong history of them going rogue and
All right.
murdering people.
Yeah.
What does that say about the values of corporations? Does it say anything?
Well, I think obviously what it the big thing there is that is the corporation values the corporation and the profits of the corporation, not the people, not their lives, not anything like that. And we even see that in the way that the Autobots, or whatever we're going to call them, um, interact. They have complete access to all monitoring devices, so they can completely be watching a full invasion of people's lives. And
Mhm.
without a doubt, the corporation would be able to access that from the bots as well and get reports back from them about what people are doing. And so it's very clear that it's the things that they own and the value of the corporation that matters, so much so that human life is devalued under even the bot.
Mhm.
I think that speaks really loud and clear about our capitalistic society and the way it is set up to uh, encourage that kind of behavior out of corporations, which is sad and frightening, um, and pathetic, frankly.
Yeah, and unfortunately, not just contained to fiction. That
Hmm.
we, of course,
Right.
see this all the time, even in the tax structure, where corporations are treated like people and given tax breaks over people who can't afford food or healthcare,
Yeah.
and we're valuing corporations more than that.
Yeah.
So the fact that voters would put in political candidates into office who take that position is almost insane. It's just
I agree.
very difficult. Okay, so I want to sneak in one more question. I want to ask you a theological question
Mm.
here at the end of the segment, just so I can cover philosophical, social, political, and
I like it. I
theological
like it.
here. And so I'm curious, Mark, with technological advancement going at the speed that it is, what is the theological obligation? Is there a theological obligation to engage with technology? Does theology have anything to say about technological advancements?
Um, Another great big question.
Yep,
I'm gonna
and that's why I squeezed it in at the end. So you had just a
right. I'm
little
gonna try to
teeny
give a
bit of
very
time.
compact answer though, because of the time. I think theologically, it behooves us to advance the society in positive ways that values all lives, using all the tools at our disposal. And so I think that we need to stay up to date, understand and utilize those tools, the AI and all of the technological advances, in a way that positively impacts people, particularly the historically marginalized groups. So that's my quick little contained answer. What do you what do you think?
Yeah, I think that we have an obligation to think about how it impacts other people in the way that you're talking about. That the theological obligation as Christians is to be concerned with other people, and if it's having a positive impact, to embrace it, and if it's having a negative impact, to think about whether or not that's something we should
Absolutely.
use. But I think then ultimately it's creating like thinking about if technology is being used to create like a Star Trek kind of world, or if it's being used to create like a Handmaid's Tale kind of
Right.
world. I don't know. I think that we have an ethical obligation to think about it in that way as well.
100%.
So I've got other questions, but if we take those, then we're not going to get to our favorite segment, the
Oh, we
"Make
can
Me
do that.
Look Stupid" segment,
Love
and
it.
we got to do
Love
that.
it. No, we
So
can't do that.
yeah, we got to do it. We got to do it. So let's take a break, take a drink, and come back and try to make each other look stupid.
Welcome to the Make Me Look Stupid segment of the show, where we proceed to try to make our co-host look stupid, or admit that maybe we're feeling a little stupid because we don't know the answer, or to push the stupidity of our co-host into the future by making them make a prediction. Uh, Today, I'm just going to ask a somewhat silly question.
Okay.
Would it bugged me a little bit.
Mhm.
Would a robot based on AI be able to tell that the rise and fall of Sanctuary Moon is a bad show?
I don't know. I haven't. There wasn't. Didn't the Wall Street Journal commission an AI generated film recently that was
Oh.
really bad? that AI
Well, I'm assuming
created.
this is an advanced AI. We're somewhere
Advanced
in the
AI
future
that
when we have
sometime in the
spaceships.
future it's going to have like human beings will input shows that were good and it will use that criterion to I don't know. I guess it depends. I mean, can human beings tell which shows are good and which ones aren't? Mark, I mean, right before this, our church administrator and I were talking about how obsessive secret lives of Mormon wives are or whatever. So, I mean, I guess I'm not sure AI would have to be a lot smarter than human beings, I think, to know which which shows are really good and which ones aren't.
I
What
think
do you
that's
think?
a
You have
good
more
answer.
hope than I do for the
I
future
think
of
that's a good
AI?
answer, but I also think that maybe the answer is sometimes bad shows are good shows.
Well,
I mean, the fact that it's so bad is what makes it good, you know?
sometimes that's true, and then sometimes bad shows are just really
Very bad
really
shows.
bad.
That's
Uh,
fair.
what was that one show that we watched for
Oh, what
Moonshine Jesus
was
show
it?
that one time with the
I've been
Guardians of the something
I've
or
been
other?
trying to forget that show. It was so horrible. You're
That
right,
one
The
was so
Guardian
bad
was
that it was just it
it
didn't
was
circle
really
back
it was,
around
yeah.
to being good so
It
bad
did
it's
not
good. It's just so bad. So
it
bad.
definitely did not get back to being so bad that it was good. No, it lived in that bad television world and clung to it desperately.
I don't think it's going to get its sequel, Mark. I know we were both
No,
hoping that it
probably
was going
not.
to get a sequel, but I guess not.
I'm willing to go out and pick it if someone tries to. I don't want that. We're not
You
gonna
know
have that
what?
be created. That should
Come
not be in the
on.
world.
Come
The
on,
first
Mark.
one shouldn't have been in the world. We certainly can't have a second one be in the world.
Yeah, that was the only one that I'm like, I really, really wish we weren't watching this
We're
right now.
doing it was suffering, man. It was suffering. True.
So, okay, I've got a question for you too, Mark. So we discovered that there are these that the sec units killed one group of settlers, and the reason that that happened is because there was this chip that got implanted that left
The
them vulnerable to
COM,
control. Yeah, that left them
Command
vulnerable to
Override
someone else's
Module.
control. So who do you think is behind that chip? Who do you think
Mm.
is causing the settlers to die?
I think it's an anti-technology person, anti-corporation corporation rim, an anti-technology person. I don't think it's one of our lead characters, but we have a couple of lead characters who seem to be so anti that maybe they are part of a group that's working towards creating so much doubt and so much fear that these AI robots would go away. So I think that it's nefarious for sure. There is a group that's trying to make the world not trust these robots. That's my take. What do you think?
I'm going to go the opposite way.
Okay.
I think it's the corporation.
Mm,
I think the corporation is killing settlers who get out of hand, and
okay.
that the bots are programmed not to do that, and they have to put in
Yeah.
another code for it to happen. But
Mhm.
I think it's the corporation. I think they
Okay.
so undervalue people's lives that they're not concerned at all with whether or not they live.
Very, very, very possible for sure. It's going to be interesting to watch it play out. Unfortunately, I will say one of the things that I don't like about this show is that they're about 22 to 30-minute
Uh-huh.
episodes, and they're only dropping them one at a time. We got the first two on the first day. We're getting them one at a time per week, and they're so short. I'm a little frustrated with that.
Well, I'm frustrated with media, but in terms of that in general. We get so few episodes, and then it takes years to make them. And I keep thinking back to the glory days where we got 22 episodes
Man, that was the best.
a season, and we got
Yeah.
them every single year.
Yeah, I completely agree. I was just bemoaning that over Doctor Who. We just had the season finale
Yeah.
of the latest Doctor Who, and I think there were 8 episodes in this season. I mean,
Yeah.
Come on.
I mean, I get that, like, that's like British. The Brits, they
Well,
take
we used to
longer
get
with their shows, but
we used to get longer seasons. I don't, it's just a shame. I hate that. Well, listen, we could go on and on talking about this kind of thing, but we
I
need
would.
to absolutely we need to be prepared for next week. And I think you had a pretty good suggestion of what we should cover.
I just finished the second season of The Last of Us,
So
and
good.
man, so fantastic. And there were
Man, that
lots of twists and
cliffhanger.
turns.
That
Yeah.
cliffhanger. Oh,
Yeah, it was a lot. And so this whole season was a lot. And there were some really emotional episodes in there
yeah.
too, but also some great action. If we're talking about stuff that's such high quality prestige television, Last of Us.
Completely agree.
Oh,
Yeah.
I loved it. I loved it. So
Yeah.
why don't we talk about that?
Perfect. Let's do that. So we're going to be
Okay.
watching this most recent season of Last of Us. Probably both of us will go back and rewatch it because it was more than worth rewatching. Encourage you all to do the same, and then we'll come back next week and we'll have a discussion about season 2 of Last of Us. And again, just thank you all. We appreciate you being here. We appreciate you participating in this. It makes our day because it lets us have a great excuse for doing the show, which we absolutely love. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Go watch Last of Us, and we will see you next week on the Moonshine Jesus Show.
Moonshine